Nancy McCocken, and welcome to Living Karma Yoga. This is a program that brings you all that the yoga world has to offer, from asana, which is posture, which is what most people think of yoga. But there's so much more in yoga. There's pranayama, which is working with the breath, directing the breath and the energy of the body through the breath. Mudras, which are hand positions, which channel energy in very specific ways. Meditation. Lifestyle has to do with nutrition, color, and when we go to sleep, and seasons of the year, as well as travel and even sometimes fashion. And so very, very much more to help you take your yoga off the mat, which is really where yoga begins. It's not so much about posture, but how we behave in our daily lives. So yoga helps us be more calm, more equanimous, and all of the techniques of yoga that we bring to you and the programs hopefully give you some tips to live more fully, live more mindfully and more joyfully. These are this is the way that the yoga seers and the yoga gurus and the yoga teachers tell us we truly deserve to live, and that there's a place inside of us that's light and calm, and that we just have to peel away the onion skins of conditioning, and we can get there. And so that's what yoga does for us. My guest today is Sabrina Atto. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. She's a yoga teacher, a wellness coach, a founder, and CEO now of Freebird LLC. She's also the author of Transcending Anxiety. This was just very recently published. It's work of love and art. And her mother, Sabrina's mother, introduced her to yoga when she was a teenager. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Just out of high school.
Yeah, because she was experiencing anxiety.
Yeah.
And over the years, Sabrina wove yoga into and out of her life before making it a committed part of her wellness routine. She says, "It wasn't until I found a practice that resonated with me, mind, body, and spirit, that I committed to making yoga part of my life. When I did, I began to notice how yoga was influencing all areas of my life. Yoga offered me an opportunity to heal my anxiety naturally." Sabrina founded Freebird LLC in 2013. It's a wellness coaching practice where Sabrina could begin working with clients who were seeking a holistic or integrative approach toward healing anxiety. Sabrina is a BA in psychology, right?
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
As well as all your yoga training.
Yeah.
And that's 200-hour from Karma.
Yeah.
And then you just completed the Anusara, didn't you?
Correct, yeah, in Maui, beautiful Maui. Yeah.
And was that an extra 100 hours?
It was a 200-hour.
Okay, good.
So yeah, two 200 hours.
So, but a lot of other training and
yeah.
other modalities too.
Correct.
And you've said too that our culture would have us believe that peace comes from achieving something or eliminating something from our lives. Getting rid of the boyfriend.
Right.
Or getting the promotion or whatever. And so the way we live in our culture has conditioned us that peace lies outside of us. But when we begin to see things from a new perspective, we truly see things new. Then we begin to understand that peace is an inherent part of who we are. We don't need to seek it or achieve it, but simply learn to be open to it. And so you've also said that teaching yoga offers you an opportunity to share the tools and resources that you found beneficial. Yeah. I want to find out, you said that yoga has made an impact on your life. So can you tell our audience how a little bit?
Sure. So you mentioned earlier, most people think of yoga as just the physical practice or asana, which that is one aspect of yoga that has made an impact. But there's been lots of areas. So meditation being one, contemplation being a second that was big for me, and asana. Asana has helped me, which is the physical practice of yoga, has helped me to become aware of habits. And for example, if I'm practicing, say I'm in your class and I feel challenged in a pose, I can become aware of what my default is or what my habit is when I'm challenged. Do I push too hard? Do I become lazy and not want to challenge myself? Look at that, become aware of what my habit is or my default, and then use the practice, use the physical practice to recreate a new habit, I guess. And so that's how I've used asana. It's one of the ways I've used asana. Again, also contemplation and meditation have been really big for me.
Okay, and how?
Contemplation, becoming aware.
Right.
When I have become aware, sitting with that awareness and learning to uncover more awareness. Maybe I don't know how to say that without going too deep into it, but sitting with my awareness and really uncovering things that are there.
So awareness of, say, anger or frustration.
Yeah. So of breaking up with a boyfriend.
Okay.
Sitting with maybe that confusion or fear, and uncovering what's there. Why is the fear there? Why is the confusion there?
Right.
And learning more about that feeling that's coming up. And then meditation goes along with all of it, just sitting in silence and really hearing what's there. Because the answer is within us, right? I feel like the answers we need are there. We don't have to seek outside of ourselves to find them. If we get still enough or silent enough, they present themselves.
And it's hard to get quiet in our culture because it's so busy and so
busy.
Noisy. I mean,
it is.
People bombarding and capital letters and bold and exclamation marks.
Right,
and,
social media and just the internet. We have so much information thrown at us all day long that it's hard to get still and quiet.
Right. So what do you do when your mind's kind of, and you must experience this, I mean, I know I do, where something happens and you just can't let it go. It keeps coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back. What do you do?
Yeah, what do I do? It's easy to, I just had this conversation recently. It's very easy to start to judge yourself and shame yourself for not being where you want to be or letting something continually trigger you. And what I've learned is that if something's still triggering me, then it's just, I'm not done with the work. And so rather than becoming judgmental or getting hard on myself or down on myself about it, I sit with it. I continue with my practice. So, all the tools I share in the book or that I share in my business with clients or students are tools to be practiced consistently. And when we use the tools consistently, over time, we will start to notice results. So it maybe just needs more time. I need more time with the tools that I have been using to work through whatever those triggers might be. Okay. Did I answer that question?
Yeah, more or less. Okay. I was just thinking, I'm pretty good at letting things go. I just go, whatever. But recently something happened and I just thought, I'm still angry.
And so when an emotion does come up, then to answer a little more thoroughly, sit with it. I would sit with it. I'd use contemplation, and I talk about contemplation in the book as well. But I'd use contemplation, and then I'd sit in meditation with it if I could. If I couldn't, if it's just too much, then it's too much.
Agree to be angry.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's there for a reason, and it'll show itself to you for when you're ready.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and I have a whole list, and I sent you the list, but I think I'm going to divert. Okay. And because the holidays are coming up, and I've had a couple people say, "Oh." Family.
Family is your greatest trigger, right?
Right. So do you have any suggestions for, all kinds of things come up with politics?
Yeah.
People who are, marginally functional. Sometimes we're marginally functional when we get into those things. The habits and the triggers and the conditioning that we have with our family. Eating too much, not eating enough. So can you give us some suggestions?
Yeah. Anything specific or just a general?
Well, start with say friction, or start with the conditioning, because one of the things that I notice with my siblings, and I have 6, is that whenever we get together, there's kind of a pecking order, and there's a conditioned way that we all respond to one another. So what do you do with that when you don't feel like playing?
Oh, that's a hard one to. Okay, so I'm going to give kind of like a general tip, I guess, to start. And so what I've found just in general for dealing with stressors or dealing with life, just waking up on a daily basis and having to deal with the holidays or having to deal with work, is that when I start my day, I start it with either an intention, and if you're spiritual, you can start it with a prayer. If you're not spiritual, then I would suggest starting with maybe an intention. An intention could be, I am open to go in with the flow of this day.
Okay.
It's very general, but at the same time, you're allowing yourself to be in the flow rather than resist what's going to happen that day or resist what comes up, whether it's a person, place, or thing. And from there, setting that intention or saying your prayer, like whatever that prayer might be for the individual, and giving yourself maybe just 1 minute of stillness or silence in the morning, and after saying and setting the intention or prayer. And that 1 minute of silence gives you time to kind of digest what you've just said.
Okay.
To hear the guidance that's coming, and maybe you hear it, maybe you don't, but I believe that if you keep that intention or prayer in your heart throughout the day, and you've taken that time to really sit with it, and then carry it throughout the rest of your day, remind yourself of it throughout the day, that when things do trigger you and come up, you're able to turn to something for grounding.
Okay.
Or does that,
Yeah, it's sort of like take a mini vacation from that just for a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get away
And
from it.
what I've noticed is that when I practice that, it helps me to shift my perception from one that's anxious to one that's a little more grounded. And maybe initially or at first it doesn't take me out of that anger or the frustration towards the person that might be triggering me, but it does give me an opportunity to slow down and try to open my perception or see things differently. And I mean, with that being said, you have to have the willingness to really want to see the situation differently. You can enter into the holidays with a lot of angst and a lot of anxiety, but if you don't have the willingness to want to shift that anxiety, then it's not going to shift.
Yeah, and the thing that reminds me, or it first of all, I'm going to say, I want you to explain triggers too for people in a little bit, but that willingness, I think for me, comes from an understanding that I'm happier when I'm more open and calm and when I'm not reacting. Because some people hold on because they're enjoying the anger.
Or they think they are.
They think they are, or they like the energy from the anger or whatever.
There's like a high from it.
Yeah, part of our culture is that we're addicted to drama. And so without drama, life, I think, for some people feels a little flat. And they can't imagine that letting go will be more fun or more interesting. So I think it takes a while to get to the point where you go, oh, this is not normal.
Well, and that's
a better way to be.
That's such a good point to bring up. So there are going to be people that you encounter, whether it's family or not family, who are drama seekers, right? And it's important to remember that you can't control how someone else is going to act. But we can control how we react to those people. So knowing that you're going to encounter maybe someone who is a little more dramatic or wants to stir the pot, you have a choice to engage or not engage. And that's where you have control. You don't have control over what they do or say to you, but you do have control over how you react to them and whether or not you give them that power over you. Easier said than done, but it's a practice like anything else. The more we practice not engaging, the easier it becomes down with time.
And the more attractive it becomes too, because we live a different kind of life. It's a different quality of life.
I've been asked, why have I started doing this work, or why did I write the book? And one of the reasons was once I started to practice making those shifts in perception from fear and anxiousness and worry, stress, to a perception that cultivates more peace of mind, there's this feeling of joy, I guess you could say, that you want to share. Like, you don't want to hold it for yourself. It's such an awesome feeling of groundedness, of peace, and when you have it and you experience it, you want to share it. And so,
yeah, I can see it in your face. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It really is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think when people start to recognize that there is another way, or that they can have peace of mind, and they start to feel that feeling, they'll admit it.
And then they want to, then that's easier to commit to saying that every single day. Okay.
Exactly.
And then,
and don't get me wrong. I mean, we all have our days. I have my days where I'm a total raging, not nice person.
Right.
But it doesn't last long. It's like, it might be just for a few minutes, and then I recognize, I'm like, who are you right now? Why are you acting like this?
Right.
Just chill. And you do. It's quicker. The more you practice being in peace, the easier it is to become aware of when you're not, and then shifting out of it.
Shift back. Instead of lasting years, it might last a few minutes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, good. So can you tell people what a trigger is? I think it's pretty common that we use that word, but some people might not know.
Well, I guess the way I am using it is someone or something. It could be a place, an idea, an experience that brings up fear, anger, or any other emotion that doesn't really sit well.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Or judgment.
Yeah.
Which is very often, I think, a response, a fear response.
Right.
You know.
Judgment, shame.
Right.
Huge. Yeah.
Right. Or an angry response. You know, it's like, oh, and I have. It's interesting as I watch myself too, because I don't appear that way, but I've got this strong judgmental streak, and it comes from my sense that the world is not exactly the way I think it should be.
I might be able to relate to that.
You know,
that controlling issue.
Well, yeah, and this ideal space, you know, of perfect order and things like that. And it's like, you know, it doesn't exist. But when I'm tired, that's my default. And then as you have expressed, you know, I catch myself and going, okay.
Yeah, you're doing that thing again.
Right, you're doing that thing again. So in addition to catching, understanding when our triggers are, and practicing, you know, the intention in the morning, is there anything, a breathing technique or anything that people can use? Say, all of a sudden they feel anxious.
Yeah.
How do they calm themselves down? Because it's difficult to just switch it off. I
agree. It is, and I think that takes time. And even when you are somebody who's, I mean, I've been practicing these tools for almost 20 years now, and my gosh, I mean, there's times that I'm still so resistant to it. So, yeah, I mean, there's moments where it's easy, and then moments it's not. But what I've found is the simplest approach is just one, breathing, remembering to breathe in like full deep breaths. So in yoga we call it Durga Pranayama, or a 3-part breath. And do you want me to explain it?
Sure.
So,
yeah, please.
The way I've described it or explain it, and I have a cousin who's an opera singer, and so yeah, my cousin Ashley, beautiful voice. Anyway, she's this is the way she's described breathing that I love, because it's the way we want to explain it in yoga also, is that you're going to first imagine like an inner tube around your lower belly, like around the navel, around the hips, and loose, so you don't want to feel claustrophobic. And this inner tube starts to like spiral up around almost your torso up to the shoulders, like a cone. And then when you inhale, starting from the bottom of the inner tube up to the top, the inner tube expands with breath. And so you'll feel this inhale in the front body, side body, back body. And when you exhale, it starts to draw in. So you're getting this full, deep breath.
Yes.
Isn't that a beautiful way to describe it?
It is a beautiful way to describe it, too.
So.
And that's something that needs to be practiced in order, in moments of quiet, in order for it to trigger, okay, I'll try that breath.
Right. So the breath is to take this full, deep, expansive breath, starting from the lower abdomen and back up through the ribs and the chest and the upper back, where on the inhale, you're expanding and filling with air, and on the exhale, you're coming in. If you do that for, I don't know, 1 to 3 minutes, I think, when you're feeling anxious, or just throughout the day when you feel overwhelmed, or for as long as you want.
Right. It would be a good place, good way to start the morning, and to create a sense of focus for the intention.
Exactly.
And then that establishes a habit in the nervous system, the musculature, so that when you feel anxious, you can go back into that, I would say, right?
Definitely. So, yeah, exactly. If you were to use that practice in the morning with the intention or prayer, and then use that breath to cultivate silence.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, Freebird LLC, tell me a little bit about that.
The name, actually, my aunt
calls you a Freebird?
Yeah, and so it just kind of stuck. I mean, I'll use Sabrina Atto yoga for business, but yeah, it stuck. So I'm the family Freebird. I guess it started, my mother was diagnosed with lupus when I was 14. And I, over the years, started to notice parallels between with myself and her, like physical health and stress, and how stress affected and anxiousness affected physical health. And when I started to uncover how, I guess, learn more about holistic modalities and a holistic mindset for wellness, I was excited. And so I wanted to share it. And my business started with me going to actually lupus support group meetings and talking about the mind-body connection.
Oh, nice, good.
Yeah, and it was kind of emotional for me at first. And so I moved away from that and started working with women who wanted a holistic or integrative approach towards stress-free living.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank
you. So what about, what are some of the common things that people might notice about themselves at the holidays that they might go, oh, this is a trigger, I'm being set off,
okay,
I need to do something?
So what I've noticed as being maybe a trigger, and that I don't think people necessarily recognize that they're doing, is like this clenching. We clench our jaw, we squint our eyes, our bodies get really tense and tight. You might clench your fist. And I recognize that as resistance. Right. So like, what are you resisting? I think becoming aware of what we're doing, so scanning your body physically, because our body's gonna react to what's going on mentally and emotionally, right? What's your breath doing? Is it shallow? Is it hard to breathe? That could be a sign that something's going on, that there's fear or resistance. Digestion is also, I think, a good place to scope out, like what's digestion doing. Do you have like that clenched feeling in your gut, or do you feel nauseous? Yeah. And then the other thing I'm thinking too, when people get together for football games and big holiday meals, there's all this grazing, and a lot of that or drinking, but a lot of that has to do with me, with nervousness and like social anxiety. Eating. And so, one of the things that I've noticed and not that I can stop it sometimes, but I'll just go, okay, does this taste good? Does this taste good? It doesn't, then why is it in your mouth? It's actually a great way to recognize what you're doing, right? Right. And like, so you're not actually enjoying what you're taking in. So then, if I'm at the table or the people I'm talking with are at the table, I excuse myself and go someplace else so that I can, or I'll go outside for a walk. Yeah.
Because I recognize that something's not quite right and I need to spend more time. I need more space, basically. And I think a lot of us, when families get together, we don't have enough space, and it creates a sense of anxiety. Even if we love these people and we're not recognizing that this is anxious, this sense of space is important. Do you have, it's almost time, do you have anything else to tell our audience before we're done?
Oh. Well,
anything about anything, you know, like tip, like anxiety can be, you can.
Like I have so many things.
You can get over anxiety. It's not, you don't have to be a victim of it.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, I'm a prime example. I started experiencing anxiety at about 14 years old, and just everyday chronic anxiety, nothing crazy. And I've been able to consistently use tools that yoga offers, and transcend it.
So this book will help you. Okay. What is your website?
SabrinaJoAtto.com.
SabrinaJoAtto.com. Okay. And Karma's website is www.karma-yoga.net. Check us out. Come to see us in class. Sabrina has a workshop. It's the second of 2 workshops on this coming Saturday. Not sure when this is airing, but it's Saturday the 17th. Okay. In the afternoon from 3 to 5:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 to 5.
Yeah, check us all out. We have beautiful programs at Karma. Check out Sabrina, and thank you so much for watching us. And we'll see you soon. And happy Thanksgiving, or happy holidays.
Thank you.